Hello everyone and welcome to the Constructive Criticism Network. This network is here to help you improve at Magic the Gathering at every level. From Pauper Leagues to Top 1000 Mythic, we've got you covered. If you want to hear the entire network, head on over to our sponsor at puremtgo.com, where you can hear each and every show, each and every week, and check out their sponsor, MTGO Traders, and tell them that the CCMTG Network sent you. Now sit back, enjoy the show. From YouTube, podcasts, and more, here's this week's episode from ConstructiveCriticism.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Mythic Ranks. This is the second episode this week, and I'm super excited to be joined by Petros Tziotis. Did I do it?
Yeah, you did it.
Oh, I did it! I'm so proud
Happy
of
to be
myself.
here.
I'm so proud of myself. How are you doing today, Petros? Petros?
I've been
I'm sorry, I'm
great.
going to mess it up
Great.
at least 3 times, so even though I got it the first one.
Yeah. No, just do for Peter. It's
Just do
it's
Peter?
the same. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I think you are the second international player, a Mythic player, to come on the show, and that's really exciting for me. It's really cool to have. I mean, you just told me before the show that you watched this week's episode that I did on Ban. It's really cool to have Magic community all over the world, all these Mythic players coming together to learn from each other. It's really inspiring for me to actually have somebody like you on the cast, and it means a lot for you to come on.
Yeah, for me too. I'd like to be to meet new friends, to see different players play, streamers like you. It's been really exciting. You always learn something different.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I really appreciate you coming on. You know who else appreciates you, though, is our sponsor over at puremtgo.com. You can go to MTGO or puremtgo.com. Check out them and their sponsors at MTGO Traders. We really appreciate them. With that being said, Peter, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, who are you? Where are you from? And then
Yeah.
and then once you do that, we can talk about some other stuff.
Okay, I'm from Greece. And I've been playing Magic since 2006 up until now. I am 33, uh, and I really enjoy myself, playing MTG, travel around the world, and
Yeah.
it's cool.
What is the tournament scene like in Greece? Do you get a lot of events like local 1Ks, or do you travel to other parts of Europe to play Magic events? Or
So here we have a small but very passionate community. So I try to play, local tournaments. It's not that big, but we manage to have like PTQs like 70 to 100 people
okay,
from time to time. And I travel, to GPs, Pro Tours and stuff like that.
sure. I know that this question wasn't in the notes, but what do you think
Yeah.
the biggest lesson that you've learned in Magic is in your time playing?
Yeah, I think the most valuable lesson is about learning how to manage defeat. Every guy, every person playing Magic wants to win.
Right.
So it's like a lesson learned the hard way for me, learning how to manage defeat and keep trying,
Do you
keep
find
saying to yourself, yeah,
do you find that is even more true on Arena, where you're just going to lose a lot. You play a lot of games on Arena, even with even with I just talked about that band deck that I played. I had went 15-5, right? That's a 75% win percentage. But those
hmm
losses are still hard. Like, you get 5 losses with the deck, and you feel like, I mean, on ladder, it's basically only like getting 10 wins, right? You only go up 2 spots. So
yeah.
I mean, on that ladder grind, it's pretty intense.
It's pretty intense, right? But you can do, because of the reason you can stop, and if you're not streaming, of course, because you can stop and do some other stuff. It's different. Like when you're in a tournament, you have to manage it like 2 minutes. You have to
Right.
get rid of it, the disappointment you have. But in arena, you can just switch it off when you go 0-3 and you're feeling tired, stuff like that. You don't have to play anymore. It's
Sure.
a it's a different kind of management, and always focus on the good stuff. That's
Yeah.
what I keep saying.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Focusing on the things that you can control and the things that you're doing well can kind of help rein in your emotions during those losses. I really like that.
Mhm.
So, what deck are we going to talk about today, Peter?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Red Black Sacrifice, mid-range kind of. Uh, it's like mono red aggro stuff. Sometimes you go aggressive, and most of the time you are like a mid-range deck with a really synergistic ending.
So this is actually a deck that I have not gotten to play a lot of.
Mhm.
Usually when a guest comes on the show, I typically will play the deck through some stuff. But since I was doing a double podcast, most of my Magic time has been playing Bant this week. So I'm really excited to kind of pick your brain about this deck. What
Mhm.
what rank did you end up achieving with this deck when you got Mythic? I know that it just restarted uh, the 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 ladder, but where were you at?
I finished in 503
Nice.
rank. I got I think I was like 200 is
And you kind
the
of sat.
highest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when you were going through it, I know you also played Jund Sacrifice. What kind of led you to the Cat Index?
Yeah, I want to find something. By the time I was playing the ladder in Arena, Mono Red and Blue White Control were like the two decks I was facing the most.
Sure.
So I wanted to build something that will beat them most of the time. And I ended up playing Black Red Sacrifice. And when I went close to achieving Mythic, I picked up the June Sacrifice. It's a bit more, taking time,
Right.
but it's also good.
Yeah. What? So you obviously wanted to play something that you thought might have a good mono red and good blue white matchup. How long did
Mhm.
it take you to climb the ranks last month?
Uh, I started not early this season, in the middle of the month. So it took me some days to get used to the deck I played. And around Platinum 4 to Platinum 2, I stuck for about 3 days. But then in the same 3 or 4 days, I managed to go from Platinum 2 to Mythic.
Oh,
So
awesome. Awesome.
yeah, I had a pretty nice streak.
Yeah, that's sounds like you just rushed through Diamond. So did you make changes along the way to the Rakdos list at all when you were going through Diamond or anything?
Most of the time, I was building my sideboard,
Okay.
seeing stuff. So yeah, but the main deck is pretty much intact.
Okay. Well, let's actually go into the deck really quick.
Hmm.
So if we
Hmm.
take a look at this, I'm just going to read off the deck list first. We have 4 Cauldron Familiar, 4 Gutterbones, 4 Priest of Forgotten Gods, 4 Mayhem Devil, 4 Midnight Reaper, 4 Woe Strider, 4 Claim the Firstborn, 4 Agonizing Remorse, 4 Witch's Oven, and we have 24 lands and 4 Blood Crypt, 3 Castle Locktwain, 4 Fabled Passage, 4 Mountain, 7 Swamp, and 2 Temple of Malice. The sideboard, 15 cards, is 3 Angrath's Rampage, 2 Chandra Pylar Helix, 2 Epic Downfall, 2 Noxious Grasp, 1 Drevel Rogue Shadow Mage, 3 Druid, and 2 Rankle.
Hmm.
So when you're looking at this deck, what's the most common way you're winning?
Yeah, the most common is that you trying to be aggressive in the first turns with Gather Bones and Cauldron Familiar, and then when the opponent stabilizes, you kind of take over with your comboing Witch's Oven with the Cat or the Priest and the Mayhem Devil, something along these lines. So you
Okay.
kind of burning them.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And what like in that you've obviously mentioned a few key cards, but what do you if you were to give the top 3 key cards for this deck if somebody picked it up, what are the cards that they're either trying to see in their opener or cards of like what are the important pieces that make up this deck?
Most of the time, I'd like having some combination of Priest of the Forsaken Gods and War Strider, because the cards you have, it's like comboing like in pieces, like it's a Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven, or Priest, as I said, with Strider, Mayhem Devil with those two. So it's like that's why you have four of them most of the time. So you can have in the first few turns assemble like your combo and then kind of take over the game with the advantage that this card provide.
So, help me understand. So with the food decks,
Mhm.
you play a lot of things that make food to make your familiars really, really good. In this deck, it's just oven, right?
It's just oven, yes.
So really, this isn't as much a food deck as it is a sacrifice deck. You're trying to sacrifice both gutter bones, get cards off of Midnight Reapers, things like that, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
steal your opponent's creature with Claim the Firstborn. It's not so much
Mhm.
a Catavan deck as it is a sacrifice deck.
Sure, sure. That's a whole point, yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. Um, Talk to me about the mana. I know that we have four Fabled Passage. I assume that has to do
Mhm.
with just kind of how good they are with Mayhem Devil. But talk to me about the kind of Castle Locked and its role in this deck.
Yeah, Castle is pretty spectacular because you have pretty cheap spells. So in the late game, it kinda when you flood out, it kinda helps you to find your spells without taking that much damage. So you can do it sometimes, not so many, but twice when you have two castles in your opponent's turn, and then build something up to combo them off with uh, burning spells.
So before the temples were printed, ally colored mana was pretty bad.
Mhm.
Do the temples help that much?
Because you are a mid-range deck, you don't and an aggroist deck, you don't want to play four of them,
Right.
so it kind of mess up with your sequencing. But I felt like two is going to be okay because when you achieve your fourth turn and then it's going to be better than a simple land
Okay.
because of the scry.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Is there anything that you care a lot about when you care about fetching? Like, is there a certain way you're using your fabled passages? Are you saving them for Mayhem Devil? Is there any kind of tricks to your mana?
Yeah, sure. That's what you said. I try to save them for the mayhem up until turn 4 or 5, unless I have, unless I want to play two spells.
Sure.
I'm trying to save them. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. Anything else really specific in the main deck that you want to cover before we talk about matchups and sideboard?
I want to talk about War Strider.
Yeah.
He's one of the most exciting additions from Theros, uh, and it's been doing so many stuff. It's a combo, as I said, with Priest of the Forgotten Gods, and then the scry effect is really good when you are searching for more spells. Obviously, the comboing with Claim with the Firstborn, um, and the part that it's growing bigger when he escapes. It's all relevant. It's just an amazing card to have.
Claim the Firstborn also has an interesting place in this metagame right now because we're seeing
Hmm.
another uptick in Hydroid Crisis because of the Bant deck.
Yeah,
Is this something that would bring you closer to something more like Black Red Sacrifice rather than Jund Sacrifice right now?
for sure. Yes, and it's the reason that you have especially a good matchup with the red decks. Stealing Anax is a pretty big game,
Oh,
and
do you get those
sacrificing.
creatures?
Hmm. Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
that's powerful. That's a sweet interaction. So you sacrifice it with your Road Strider, you get a Scry, and you get those 1/1s.
Sure. And you get to attack for maybe sometimes for 4.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
and then you have the interaction against the Jund food decks that they play Mayhem Devil, but you are going to steal him. So it's better in the kind of mirror situation.
Awesome. That's really, really sweet. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, cool. Well, what are the decks that you kind of want to play against the most when playing this deck?
Obviously against the red aggressive decks and the Jund food for the reason I said before, and with the inclusion of agonizing remorse, I'd like the control matchup too. It's not that easy to play, but I think it's a favor for that kind of list.
Yeah, I mean, the agonizing remorse is one that's really interesting. One of the things that it does is it actually exiles the card. Is that something that comes up pretty often for you?
Yeah, especially against Uro,
Okay,
which is a pretty big pain.
sure.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about the matchups that you might not want to play against. Is there a matchup that you're like, man, I really hope I don't hit this?
Yeah, the two enchantment decks, Reclamation and Fires,
Okay,
as long as they have that card in play, it's like a nightmare. If they don't, it's still a game, but when they have, it's like pretty easy for me to lose.
so how do you combat that? Is it just the agonizing remorses and the drill bits, or is there more that you're doing to try and kind of fix that problem?
It's I try to fix that with being aggressive and not playing that much around mass removals like Storm's Wrath and um, the 3 damage from the fires. I don't remember the Clarion. Uh, so most of the time I try to be as aggressive as I can, trying to win, through uh, damage and maybe disrupt them with agonizing remorse.
So when you're trying to be aggressive, are you bringing in something like Rankle to try and help with that?
Sure, sure, for sure. And the drill bits and the Davriel, I'm trying to mess things up with their hand,
Okay.
as long as trying to be as aggressive as I can.
Tell me about kind of the Angress Rampage versus the Epic Downfall and Noxious Grasp and Chandra's Pyrohelix. You have a lot of different types of interactive spells. Are there things that they're specifically for?
Yeah, the Pyrohelix is for the red matchup specifically. Noxious Grasp is mainly for Nissa,
Okay.
and Epic Downfall is for the big creatures from like Kenrith and the red Cavalier and the
Awesome.
Blue Cavalier from Fires. And Angrath's Rampage, it's such a versatile card. It's good in the mirror for taking care of Witch's Oven uh, and for mainly for Planewalkers.
Okay. Cool. Well, Peter, this Mythic season just started again. Is this a deck that you're considering playing again right now?
For sure, it's a very good if you want to climb the ladder quickly, but it will certainly. I would certainly make some changes, of course.
Yeah, tell me about those. What kind of changes would you be looking to make?
The two-drop butcher, which is red and black, the one that gets counters when he deals damage to player or planewalker.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a pretty aggressive and synergistic creature.
But the 1/1
Uh,
or the 2/2 with haste? Sorry.
it's one I think with haste. Uh, I don't remember the whole name right now. It's
I can find
Dreadful
it.
Butcher.
I can
Dreadful
find it.
Butcher. Yes.
You're talking about Dreadhorde Butcher.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So you would add Dreadhorde Butcher in the sideboard and the main deck. Like, where are you kind of thinking about it?
In the main deck, as long and with Slaughter Priest of Mogis, he's another two-drop,
Okay.
which is pretty synergistic because you sacrifice things and he gets +2/+0.
What do you?
So it's like more aggressive.
What is what's the reason that you're finding that you want to go more aggressive with this deck?
I think it's better because the metagame right now involves some comboist decks like the blue white blink or reclamation fire. So you have to be as aggressive as you can, and with a combo-y, let's say, finish, it's better,
Awesome.
especially in arena, which is a factor that you want to play as many games and win. as many games as possible in the least amount of time.
Yeah, the ladder grind takes a while, so I can certainly understand that. Well, Peter, I think that wraps it up for the deck. I just want to thank you so much for coming on and kind of give you a chance to promote anything that you'd like. Is there anything local that you want to promote, or anything that you'd like to shout out?
I'd like to shout out to my team. It's Team Phantasma. They are helping me a lot doing the traveling around the world and bringing content to the Greek community. So I'd
Awesome.
like to thank them.
Yeah, and where can people find them and find you?
We have a Facebook and a Twitter page, so they can find me. I will post
I'll
whenever
put it in the
they do.
show notes as well. So
Okay,
you send me that link, I'll get it in the show notes for both you and for them.
sure. I will send you the descriptions. Right.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Of course, of course. Thank you for coming on. You can find me at Spencer13H. You can
Hmm.
find the show at Arena Mythic Cast, or like us on Facebook. We're on the YouTube channel on the Constructor Criticism Network, as well as on constructorcriticism.com. And you can watch me stream for the Quest for 10 stuff for this show over at twitch.tv/EasyGameMedia. And don't forget to check out the rest of the Constructive Criticism Network. So, and if you want to be like Peter and come on the show, don't forget to tweet at Arena Mythic Cast when you hit Mythic, and we will try and set up a time to have you on. So, Peter, thank you again, man. I'm really excited to try this deck. I'm gonna try this deck out. Maybe I'll stream it this week. And yeah,
Awesome. Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I'll even try some of those changes you mentioned.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see y'all next week with another episode of Arena Mythic Cast.